Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the recent Casio watch that I bought. To say I'm disappointed is an understatement. So as you guys already know, I recently bought myself my first luxury watch, which was the Satina dive watch that I'm super happy with. I also bought myself a Casio G-Shock, which is also really cool, and there'll be a 6-month review of that on the channel soon. But most recently, I was browsing the Casio website and I came across the OG calculator watch. I remember seeing my dad's friends wearing these watches back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I always thought to myself, that guy obviously knows something we don't. Back in the day, these watches on people's wrists, they looked like the sort of watch that you would see in 2050. As a child, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know that it was just simply a calculator. But anyway, back in the day, seeing that on a watch was kind of bizarre. But as I was on the website, I realized that although it's kinda ugly to me, there's something about it that I like. I've always had an interest in things that are a little bit different, that look a bit different, that have mixed views and opinions on. And for those reasons alone, this watch really stood out to me. So I ordered the watch was delivered, and the first thing I did was adjust the bracelet and put it on my wrist. I wore it for a couple of days and I was super surprised actually at how many compliments the watch got. And in fact, the 4 people who saw the watch on my wrist all complimented the watch. And in my opinion, there's something about this watch that I think is ugly cool. There's something about it that just looks weird. It looks kind of off to me. And at first glance, you might see this thing as being a bit ugly. But with that being said, there are elements about the watch that are cool. And I think that's mostly because the watch looks kind of vintage. The watch on my wrist, I was actually really surprised with how functional the calculator was. I watched a few reviews of this watch and people were complaining that the buttons are a little bit too small and it's mostly for show, but I did have a little go on the calculator and again, it's actually surprisingly functional. Not that I would ever really need to use the calculator on the watch because I'd probably just pull my phone out if I needed to use a calculator, but at a stretch, at least, if I needed a calculator, I know I've got one on my wrist. Upon day 2 of wearing the watch, I noticed just how comfortable it was. And while I've been surfing the internet, looking at different watch reviews, I've heard many people say how comfortable a watch is on their wrist. And up until I wore the calculator watch on my wrist, I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't know what it felt like to have a comfortable watch on your wrist. But because this watch is so thin and only weighs 53 grams, you barely know it's there. So being as it's so lightweight and so thin, this to me created a really comfortable wear. But with all of the good bits aside, there are obviously some bad bits with this watch that really let it down. So this watch online is currently selling for £64.90. And for that sort of money, I was really expecting something that was a little bit more substantial. Firstly, with the Casios, the boxes are usually a bit of a letdown at this price point. They're just this cheap cardboard. And then inside the box, you get this really cheap bracelet, super sharp edges. I was really disappointed when I got this out of the box. Honestly, my first thoughts when I got this out of the box was that it just feels like a toy. And I know some of you guys watching right now are thinking to yourself, yeah, but it's only £65. But in my view, I'd rather this thing be £150 and they put a decent bracelet on it. This thing feels so cheap. On the back of the watch, it says made in China, and that's exactly what it feels like. And then to top it all off, this watch on my wrist by day 2, it kept falling off. And I was thinking, what is going on? I actually went bouldering with a friend of mine, and when I was up the top of the wall, the thing actually came off of my wrist and I didn't know what was going on. So I just took the watch off and put it in my chalk bag because I didn't want to lose it. It wasn't until the day after I got the watch out of my chalk bag, I laid it on the table and I was looking at it and I was trying to figure out what was going wrong. And what I realized is that the clasp on this watch is so cheap and so flimsy, with the slightest bit of pressure, it pops open. And it doesn't fill me with confidence to wear this watch. Now, I don't know if that's just a flaw with this particular watch, and I'm yet to contact Casio to see if I can get a refund or exchange the watch, because there are parts of this watch that I really do enjoy. Ultimately though, I am really disappointed in this purchase. So what I'm going to be doing is emailing Casio to see what they can do to fix this watch or to send me out a new one. I want to keep you guys posted on that entire process to see how they handle the situation. So if you're interested in a follow-up video, then make sure you hit the subscribe button today. You're probably thinking that I've got the thing set up incorrectly. I've moved it around, I've tried it in different ways, and I've looked to see if anything may be bent so I can bend it back into place, but everything looks absolutely fine, and I just think I might have either a faulty bracelet or the bracelet is so cheap it just doesn't work properly. Guys, if you've bought yourselves one of these watches with the reference number being CA500WE1AEF, let me know in the comment box below, and let me know if you have this same problem with the clasp unbuckling itself. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed content like this, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment below. And until the next one, I will see you all very soon.